Hello, welcome back to Turn and Burn UK. This is our first project video of 2021. It is a natural edge piece of holly. I apologise now, there are lots and lots of sanding in this because it's rectangular in shape. When you're turning it, you're cutting mostly air, and when it comes to sanding, it has to be done static and with the lathe turned off. But I hope you enjoy, stick with it, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Okay, so this is a piece of holly, and because it's difficult to mount, all I've done is taken a Forstner bit and drilled a slight recess in here, which will be big enough for the jaws of the chuck to grip. And then what we're going to do is we'll put it in the chuck. So this is going to be a bit of going to be an interesting piece of turning, because a lot of the time we are going to be turning air. We'll just make sure that it spins okay. So the plan is to put a tenon on here, so this will be our base and the curve of the bowl, and then this will be taken away to make a nice flat element, and then we can reverse turn it and take the tenon off the back. Right, speed right down, turn the speed on, bring it up. That's running at 500 RPM.
I'm just jumping in here to tell you that I've actually taken the executive decision whilst editing to speed through a few sections, so apologies now, but there's a lot to get through.
So this wing here, it's been sanded to 400 grit. I'm not expecting to do anything more with that now. This area will be refined as we start to shape the bowl and take the tenon off. So now we'll just swap this over, hold it in this tenon and shape the front of the log. Both ends I will finish on the belt sander at the end, because a lot of this is going to be removed through the turning process. So we just make sure it doesn't catch on anything. We'll turn the speed right down again. Go back to the ball gauge, stand out the way. Some of the weight's been taken off now, so we're turning at about 600 RPM. Always remember to keep your hand behind the rest. Look at that. Although we've taken the weight out of it, we still can't go really quick. But as it's nicely held on the chuck, I want to bring the speed up a bit. So this is running at about 780 RPM. Right, so that's the top of the piece done. Just got to sort out this bottom. Okay, so just to take the bottom off of this, I'm going to use a jam chuck. So I'm just going to, having marked centre on the base, I'm just going to bring the tail stuck up to support the jam chuck. So that's not tightened very much at all yet. It's just about seeing how it runs when turned on. And you can see it's off centre. So we'll just try and locate it. Might need a different drive. Which is quite fortunate, because for Christmas I was given the Axminster revolving centre. And the beauty about this is that you can take the central cone off and it leaves you with a really nice centre in the middle and a screw thread that you can screw attachments onto. But for this we'll use it with the cone on, so that the cone I generally use the ring centre in the middle, but for what we're going to do today we need more of a point, so we'll use this point with confined centre. So, just bring that down. need to be careful, because if we press too hard with this cone, it will split the fibres out. So this is really more to hold it than anything else. That looks a bit better. And now we'll just shake the bottom a bit. We need to make nice gentle cuts. I'm going to use the smaller tool rest this time. It's easier to get in. There we are. Right, quick sharpen of the gouge. Okay, we're good to go. So, turn it on. Turning at about 600 RPM there. Remembering to keep your hands and arms out the way of the got that. And centre down a little bit. There we go. Nice. There we go. Get the crack there. Now it's just a case of a bit of sanding. Obviously minding our fingers. We're probably in a position with that little nub on the bottom there that we can just take this off, sand the rest of it by hand. The sanding sealer, what I'll do is, this has been sanded to 400 grit, most of which was done off camera because you really don't want to be watching me hand sand. And we're just applying some cellulose sanding sealer, and then I'll buff this using the chestnut buffing system. There you have it. Now what we could do is put a little lid on there. Yeah, might do that. We'll buff this first and we'll see where we go from there. You've all seen me use this before. So the buffing system comes with this mandrel. So A wheel is the coarsest. We use a reddy brown buffing compound on here. So you apply a bit of the compound to the wheel. Well, these will run up to 1500. I tend to work at about 1400. You have to be careful. These wheels will try and grab the work out of your hand. The wheel is too big to fit in the dish, but I do have some dome mops that you can also use on here. I've got the medium sized dome mops. And they screw on in exactly the same way. And they will fit, as you can see, inside the dish. The smaller of the dome mops would probably be better, but we'll make do with what we got. So we're on to B. B uses the white stick. Don't want to put too much on. Go. And we'll use the buffing wheel, so exactly the same. Go. And then the C wheel is the smoothest of all the fabrics, really soft, and this is used for buffing. So the A and the B wheel, we're using the cutting compounds, PVC wheel we use a wax. This is a microcrystalline wax stick. The kit comes with a, let's do the dome first. The kit comes with a carnauba. So that's carnauba wax. It's the microcrystalline. The carnauba is a darker brown. I like using the microcrystalline wax because it melts at a higher temperature, which means once applied, people can handle it without the risk of leaving finger marks on the piece. Load the wheel exactly the same way as before. You can turn the speed down and then the mop will deform, which makes it a bit easier to get into some spaces like this. That's running at about 850. The faster it goes, that's 1400. The less the mop deforms. There we go. As you can see, it will just sit on the dome at the back.
And here's a few photos just to show the finished item. Thanks for persevering and watching through to the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, tick that notification bell, and we'll see you for the next video. Thanks again.